So we start with the next video. In this video we will or lesson we will focus on we will focus on the factors that affect the rate of the reactions. So factors affecting rate of reaction. Now all these factors have to be explained on the basis of collision theory. In the exam they may say explain on the basis of collision theory, or they may just ask you justify or give reason. So all the factors have to be explained on the basis of collision theory. Which already has been explained to you. So let's talk about the first reaction factor, that is concentration. Now when I say concentration, it means I was using a solution which is 1 mole per decimeter cube, and if I want to increase the concentration, it would mean 2 moles per decimeter cube. So this is increase in concentration. Now what does this actually means? So when you increase the concentration, the first mark you will get is when you say that this means that the number of particles increases, volume remains same or constant. As you can observe from the example above, that the volume remains the same, 1 decimeter cube. It is the moles that are increasing, and moles means 1 mole is 6.023 into 10 to the power of 23 particles. So if there are more moles, it means there are more particles. So this point gives you the first mark if they are asking for your explanation of the effect of concentration. So number of particles will increase, volume remains the same. This will lead to collision frequency increasing. So collision frequency increases. Don't use the word collision increases that or number of collision increases, that is wrong. The reason is you could be recording the number of collisions in different time. So time has to be the same, and then you measure the number of collisions. So we are not doing it, but if you are not using the word collision frequency, then it gives us a different meaning. Therefore in your marking scheme, instead of collision frequency, they can even say number of collisions per unit time. So it is the same thing as collision frequency. You can use either of it. So the second mark you will get when you will say that the collision frequency is increasing. Now when the collision frequency increases, this leads to successful collisions increases, and if successful collision increases, the rate of the reaction increases. Rate of reaction increases. So over here these are the 4 points basically, if they want us to explain the effect of increase in concentration. Now same way, now the questions usually would be state and justify. Question would be state and justify whatever the thing. So there are 2 parts to it. Justify the effect of the concentration or temperature or whatever we will talk about. So here there are the very important thing is there are 2 parts to this. One is the state, the other is the justify. State means you just say increase or decrease. increase or decrease based on the effect, and justify means the reason. So state means from here you will get, and justify is the points we are writing. So this is the effect of increase in concentration. Now if suppose we were asked for decrease in concentration, what you would do is, if you decrease the concentration, the number of particles decreases, the collision frequency will decrease, the successful collisions will decrease, and therefore the rate of the reaction will decrease. So this is the effect of concentration. Now if we try to understand this graphically, let us say you have a reaction, calcium carbonate plus HCl reacting to form calcium chloride plus water plus H2O plus CO2. So we will measure this. That's the easiest way. Volume of carbon dioxide can be measured, and already explained in the first video that we will use the gas syringe to measure this. So if you plot a graph, let us say I have taken 10 grams of this, and I have taken 1 mole per decimeter cube of this. This is the first experiment. Now so if I perform this experiment, I would get a graph. So this is your volume of CO2. Remember, this volume of CO2 represents the product. You are measuring the product. And this is the time. Now initially the amount of the product would be 0. So as the time proceeds by, the volume of carbon dioxide will increase fast, then it slows down, and then it tapers off. The slope does not. Already talked about that there are three different regions. One is initially it is very fast, then it slows down, and when it becomes parallel to the x-axis, that indicates that the reaction is complete. So if this was for graph was for 1 mole per decimeter cube. Now let's suppose the same experiment was done, but you had taken 2 moles per decimeter cube. Now remember, you are taking 2 moles per decimeter cube, but the amount of calcium carbonate is not changing. The amount of calcium carbonate is constant, and we know over here what is happening is we are increasing the concentration. So when the concentration increases, the rate has to increase. Now if you want to show the rate as increase, the slope or the gradient should be more. So it would be on the left side. That's the first thing. That is what the examiner is going to look at. He will give you 1 mark for this. Since the amount of calcium carbonate is the same, the reaction will finish at the same height. That means once the reaction is complete, the amount of carbon dioxide will be the same, but the only difference is when it was being 1 mole per decimeter cube, you could be taking, let us say 20 minutes for this reaction to complete. Now with a higher concentration, the speed being more, the final volume of carbon dioxide would be the same, but since the reaction is faster, it will reach the completion earlier. It will reach the completion in less time. That means the same volume of carbon dioxide would be obtained maybe in less time. So what the examiners are looking at is this gradient. It is finishing earlier, and then the height is the same. That is the 3 marks. Your 3 marks are gradient is more, it is finishing earlier, quickly, and the height is the same because you have not changed the calcium carbonate. So the amount of carbon dioxide is not going to change. So this would be a graph for your 2 moles per decimeter cube. 2 moles per decimeter cube concentration. Same way, if this experiment was repeated with let us say 0.5 moles per decimeter cube, this reaction now over from here, what you are doing, you are decreasing. So decrease concentration means the reaction will slow down. So when you want to slow down, that means the gradient would be less, and it will take more time to form the same amount of carbon dioxide. That means more time for the reaction to be complete. So in this case it would be something like this. So now the reaction is completed maybe in 30 minutes. So this represents 0.5 moles per decimeter cube. So this is the graphical representation of the change in the concentration. Now suppose you are doing the same reaction, calcium carbonate plus HCl giving you calcium chloride plus H2O plus CO2. Now in this case you took 10 grams of this, you took 1 mole per decimeter cube of this, and you are measuring the volume of carbon dioxide. Now in this case again, if you draw the graph, let us say this is time as before, this is the volume of carbon dioxide which represents the product. The shape will be the same. So this is for experiment 1. Let us say this was for experiment number 1. Now let's say you have changed this to 20 grams. This remains 1 mole per decimeter cube. Now remember, the mass of the reactant is not changing the rate, it is the concentration that is changing the rate. So the speed would be the same, the speed is the same, that means it will go on the same line, the gradient would be the same, but now since the mass is double mass, so what happens is the amount of carbon dioxide obtained before, let us say if this was 20 or 15, whatever you want to say, 15, now what will happen is speed will be the same, but it will finish at a higher level. More carbon dioxide would be formed, approximately 30, let us say. There is also a possibility that you may say it will finish earlier, but that is not an important thing over here. The main thing is that this is your experiment 2, this was for your experiment 2, and if the mass was decreased, then it will be lower. So in this case the concentration remains the same, so the speed remains the same, and suppose you are now changing both the concentration as well as the mass, then what will happen? Both the speed as well as the mass will change, the height will change. For example, if this is volume of CO2 as before, this is the time. So if before, this is your graph for 10 grams calcium carbonate and 1 mole per decimeter cube HCl. Now if you increase the concentration as well as the calcium carbonate amount, then what will happen is the speed will increase and the height will also increase. Now this is for, let us say, 20 grams of calcium carbonate and 2 moles per decimeter cube of HCl. So because of this 2 moles per decimeter cube of HCl, the rate is increasing, so you are showing it on the left side, and because the amount of calcium carbonate has increased, so the height has increased. So that explains all the different scenarios that can happen with the change in the concentration and the mass, and how you show it graphically. The next factor is pressure. Now remember, this is only for gases. Pressure is used only for gases. Now here what happens is, let us say we try to understand what we mean when we say the pressure is increased or decreased. Let us say you have a container. You have a container with a piston over here. There are few particles over here. So the volume is V, the pressure is P1. Now if you increase the pressure, that means you are applying force on the piston. So the piston comes down to this level. So what is happening is, pressure is P2, which is greater than P1. So now the same number of particles, they are in a smaller space. So the volume, if before it was V, now the volume is V2, which is less than V1, but the number of particles remain same. Like you, all of you, when you go to the grass field, you are scattered everywhere, same number of students, so you take more space. When you come to the playground within the school building, then you are all playing in a smaller area, same number of particles. But when you and so you are moving still freely, you are still playing, but not to the same extent the way you were doing in the green field. But when you come to the classroom, now the space is less, so now your movement is restricted. Now your movement is restricted because we have the same number of particles, same number of students in a smaller space. So the number of particles remain the same, in volume decreases when you increase the pressure. So now we try to understand what is the effect of pressure. So if you increase the pressure, then the first thing or first mark you will get is when you say that number of particles remain same, volume decreases. And because of this, what will happen? There is overcrowding, and because of the overcrowding, what will happen is the collision frequency increases. Collision frequency increases, and because the collision frequency increases, the successful or effective collision increases, and because of that, the rate of reaction will increase. Rate of reaction increases. Same way, if you decrease the pressure, now what will happen is the number of particles will remain the same. Now you are doing the opposite. You are now going from this side to this side. Now you are going from this side to, so now in this case what happens is, if you decrease the pressure, the number of particles remains the same, the volume will increase. So the volume decreases. Now because of that, what would happen is the collision frequency will decrease, and due to this, the successful collisions will decrease and the rate of the reaction will decrease. Graphically, everything is the same as for the concentration. The concentration is used for solutions and the pressure is used for gases. So the way you represent graphically, everything is the same. Then the next thing is, the next factor is the temperature. Now over here, when you increase the temperature, this leads to kinetic energy of the particles increasing. So that gives you the 1 mark. The first mark, kinetic energy of the particles increases. So if the kinetic energy of the particles increases, then what will happen is rest of the thing exactly the same. The collision frequency increases, then successful collision increases, and therefore the rate of reaction increases. Rate of reaction increases. So the first point that gives you the first mark. Now same way, if you are decreasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the particles will decrease. They will move slowly. So if they are moving slowly, then they will take more time for the particles to collide, and therefore the collision frequency will decrease, and successful collisions will decrease, and because of that the rate of the reaction will decrease. So if I want to show this graphically, if a reaction is being carried out, let us say at 300 Kelvin, any reaction Kelvin. Now you are doing this reaction at 400 Kelvin. Remember, all the calcium carbonate and everything, the amount is the same, nothing is changed. So everything remains same except the temperature. Then the speed will change. At a higher temperature, the rate of reaction will increase. It will take less time for the reaction to complete, but the final volume of the carbon dioxide will remain the same. So this is at a higher temperature, let us say at 400 Kelvin. So you can see the gradient is increased. The gradient increases. So gradient increase is an indication of the rate increasing. And if the same reaction is carried out at a lesser temperature, gradient would be less. It will take more time for it to complete. It's taking more time for it to complete. Let us say this was being done at 200 Kelvin. So that's the effect. If you change the amount of calcium carbonate, then you will have your height changing. Otherwise only the speed or the rate will change. Next factor is your, so that would be the rate was your, temperature was your third factor. Then the next factor is your surface area. Now before I explain you the effect of surface area, we need to okay, one very important thing about the rate, which will lead us to the other thing, that is, when you are talking about the rate, it has been experimentally found that with every 10-degree rise in temperature, with every 10-degree rise in temperature, it has been observed that the rate of reaction is doubled. Now which scale you are measuring, that is not an important thing. The important thing is that the difference needs to be 10 degree. So for example, if you are carrying out a reaction at 200 Kelvin and you change it to 210 Kelvin, so the rate will double. The rate of reaction doubles. Same way, if you are doing this reaction or you are measuring the temperature as let's say 80 degrees Celsius, and now you are doing the reaction at 90 degrees Celsius, so again the difference is 10, so the rate of reaction will be double. This is explained, this thing, the rate of reaction being double, is explained on the basis of explained on the basis of Maxwell Boltzmann distribution curve, which we will be doing later on in the same chapter. So this we will understand later on, how to explain that why the rate of the reaction doubles when you increase the temperature by 10 degree. Right now we are focusing only on the factors that affect the rate of the reaction. So this is later on. Now surface area. Now when you say surface area, what does that mean? What is the meaning of increase or decrease and so on? Now if you have a big piece of substance, we call it as lumps. Now this surface is only available for the collision, the surface that is exposed. Only this surface is exposed for the reaction to take place. But if you break this into two pieces, now what happens is this additional surface is now available for collision with, let us say if you are taking calcium carbonate, so now this additional surface is available for collision with the particles of H2SO4. And if you break it further, now what happens is you have additional surfaces which are available for collisions, which were not available before. So what is happening is, when you break the substance, or I should say when you have a smaller substance, smaller pieces of substance, there are more particles available for collisions. So smaller pieces of substance would mean there are more particles available for collision. So smaller pieces means more surface area, and more surface area means that there are more particles available for collision. So in chemistry, when they give you any reaction or something, they will explain us that this is a big piece or a small piece. So they would say lumps, they would say small pieces, or they may say powdered substance. So if you compare the surface area, the lumps will have the smallest surface area, then you will have the small pieces, and then you will have the powdered substance. So over here the surface area is increasing this way. So now let's try to explain this. So if you increase surface area, what will happen? There would be, how will you increase the surface area? By taking smaller particles. So if you are taking smaller pieces or smaller particles, that means the surface area is more. What does that mean? This means there are more particles available for collision, and if this happens, that means the collision frequency is increasing. Collision frequency increases, and because of that your successful collision will increase. successful collision increases, and as a result the rate of reaction will increase. Rate of reaction increases. So when we say a small piece, it means the surface area is increasing. And same way, if you decrease the surface area, how will you decrease the surface area? By taking a larger pieces. So in this case there would be less particles available for collision, so the collision frequency will decrease, and because of that the successful collision will decrease, and because of that the rate of reaction will decrease. So this is the effect of surface area. Then moving on to last factor, which should be fifth, is catalyst. Now we all know what is or what are catalyst. You need to know the definition. Catalysts are substances that increases the rate of reaction without undergoing any change themselves. So they do not undergo any change. So the keywords over here is increases the rate and without any change. That is the keywords over here which the examiner is looking for. Now if they ask you how this happens, how are the catalysts able to do this, then you will simply say they provide an alternative path of lower activation energy. So that's how the catalyst work. Now the problem is, if you are using a catalyst, how does it affects the rate? We already know from here that it is increasing the rate. So how do we show it? How do we show it? Now there's no need for explanation the way that the collision frequency increases and so on, but we need to show it graphically. Now since this involves the lowering of the activation energy, we have to use the energy profile diagram. So let us say I'm using the energy profile. We have already done this in the chapter for energy changes. Energy profile diagram for exothermic reactions. Now it will be the same explanation for endothermic reactions also. So now let's say you have a reaction. Remember, I'm using an exothermic reaction over here. This is your enthalpy. We have done this in chapter for energetics. This is the time or the progress of reaction. So let us say this was the enthalpy of the reactants. It goes this way, and then this is an exothermic reaction. So the energy of the product would be lower than that of the reactant. So this is your reactant, this is your product. You need to label everything. This is the enthalpy of the reactant, this is the enthalpy of the product. The difference between them is the delta H. The energy required for the reactant to reach the peak. This is the activation energy. Represented by EA. Let us say this is without catalyst. Now this is a graph for when you are not using a catalyst. Now what the catalyst can do is, if you are using a catalyst, what the catalyst can do is, starting reactants would be the same. It will go through an alternative path and then it will go to the product. So the delta H does not change. What is changing is the activation energy. So this is your EA, that is the activation energy with catalyst. So it is going through an alternative path of lower activation energy. One possibility is this. The other possibility how the catalyst can work is, like for example, you have a quiz or a test for, let us say, 10 chapters. It is already known to you for last 2 weeks. For some of you, or I would say most of you, you will study one day before all the 10 chapters. You will study all the 10 chapters one day before the exam. Now suppose, so this is your progress of reaction. So most of you, what you will do is, you will study one day before, so you have to study more, like this. So your activation energy required would be more, so you have to give in more time to study, maybe 10 hours or 8 hours or whatever. So this is activation energy without a catalyst. But there are certain students, what they will do is, they will not study in one day all the 10 chapters. They will study few chapters today, few chapters tomorrow, few chapters day after tomorrow, and so on. So they are breaking those 10 chapters into small pieces. The same thing the reaction, the catalyst can do. Now instead of going in one go, what it does, one reaction takes place, a product is formed, then that product again goes through another state change, and then it can form the product. So it has two activation energies, less number of hours. So this is, now what the catalyst is doing is, it is breaking the reaction into 2 or 3 steps, simpler steps, so less activation energy is required. Like for your exams, you start preparing 1 month before, so that you work slowly. Same thing is over here. So this completes your factors that affect the rate of the reaction. Next lesson we will be talking about the Maxwell distribution, and that would complete your chapter for kinetics.